Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pundits Pundit. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth, and we are pleased to be joined by a special guest. This guy is going to be working for the Kansas City Chiefs in the summer. His name is Torri Harmon. And Torri, is a guy that I've known a long time. I've seen him rise through his career. And now at the age of 45, he's going to be doing something that a lot of people would dream of doing. So welcome to the show, Torri.
Scott, thanks for having me. I appreciate you let me be here.
Oh, my pleasure. So, anyways, Torri, I'm going to bring in the rest of the crew. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about the Bill Walsh Diversity Internship to Coaching, and then we'll get into a lot of what we talked about, but undoubtedly on a different audience as well. All right, you ready to go out there and get the Torri Harmon name out there so everybody here at Sideline Sports and around the world can hear it?
I'm ready to put it out there, Scott.
All right, let's bring the crew back on here, and we'll go over everything very quickly. I'm pleased to be joined by Denzel Snipes. Welcome back, Den.
Hey, what's going on?
And next, the man that made this whole show happen, Jacob Christner.
What's going on, Torri? How you doing tonight?
How you doing today?
Not bad, not bad. We're happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me again.
And to complete the handful, we're going to have Jordan Long. I'll tell you, a star on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Jordan's been getting a heavy dose of my guests lately. Welcome back, Jordan.
I guess we can have him on.
You guess.
Yeah, there he is. All right.
Welcome, Torri. Thanks for being on.
Hey, thanks
Jordan,
for having me, Jordan.
One of those. Oh, I thought you were going to be one of those people from a crime show.
All right.
I don't even go there. All right, so let's just. What I want to do first, before we get to the nitty gritty, is I want to let everybody know exactly what the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship is about. The Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship has been around 30 plus years and has helped outstanding coaches gain exposure to NFL training camps and off-season workout programs. The program's objective is to use NFL clubs, training camps, off-season workout program, and mini camps to give talented coaches opportunities to observe, participate, gain exposure, and ultimately gain full-time NFL coaching positions. Now, a couple of other things about the program. In 2020, the Bill Walsh Fellowship highlights included 110 fellows participated in person and virtual, 62 former NFL players, 96 colleges represented, 30 high schools represented, 6 female participants, and 7 fellows were extended opportunities for this season. It gets better than that. Let's go to the testimonials. Thaddeus Lewis, 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, says the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship has been a tremendous tool for me to learn the game of football from the NFL perspective and be a part of an NFL organization. From my experience, I would say don't wait once you get a chance. Ask what you can help with what you don't. Sit back and show your self-worth, but at all times be you. And lastly, make sure you're seen, available, and ready when that opportunity presents itself. One more testimonial, then we'll get to the main event here. Okay, Ashton Grant, okay, of the Cleveland Browns says the Bill Walsh Fellowship was everything that I managed it to be, and then some. I was able to get a glimpse into what it takes on a daily basis to be a part of an NFL organization, from game planning to learn to team meetings to be the operations. No stone was left unturned. The Browns did an unbelievable job incorporating me into everything that they were doing, and I left that experience with a wealth of new information and excited to incorporate what I've learned into the next phase of my career. That is loaded. All right, so here's what we're going to do, Torri. We're going to talk about everything that we talked about on Monday, but a new audience. I'm going to go straight to the questions that we talked about, and then I want my crew to get involved, all right? So let's talk about landing the job with the Kansas City Chiefs, a coach, and explain the call that came from Andy Reid.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's very good to be back on with you guys again. That's first of all. Second of all, how we landed with Andy Reid. It all started with the legendary John Wooden. Mr. John Wooden had been my mentor for the last about a year and a half, 2 years. We've been talking on a regular basis and putting things out there to try to get opportunities. In this opportunity with Andy Reid, I actually emailed Andy Reid the week of the AFC Championship game. And on a Wednesday, he so happened to respond, which shocked me. He actually responded and told me, let's get back, let's pick it back up once the season is over and everything settles down. So I was very proud of that alone. So by Mr. Wooden being my mentor, he put it out there to him because he knew him personally. When I talked to him, he said, okay, if Andy Reid contacted you, I'm going to contact him. So he combined us in on a text message and putting it out there to Coach Reid about bringing me in and bringing me on with Kansas City. And so he responded. He said, yes, I'll look, further into Torri, and then hopefully we can get him in, this summer and everything. So he was a man of his word. He stepped out. He called me on a Friday. I actually was in a training session with my pro and college guys, and he actually called, and which, of course, I stopped everything so I can answer that call, talk to Coach Reid. So in the midst of me talking to him, he was just telling me how much of a kind of a Swiss Army knife that I am, by a guy that I can kind of bring a lot to the table for his positioning, coaching, sports performance training, and also recruiting. I ain't gonna say recruiting, but scouting. Scouting is what I really want to do, but whatever I need to do to actually get in, I'm able to do it, and I want to do it. I just want to get my foot in the door no matter what, and then start making my mark, in every area I can in the NFL organization, starting with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, let's talk about the background that got you up to this point.
The background that got me up to this point, it's been a long, Scott, as anybody know, it's been a long, hard road for me. But I'm one of those, I know I'm one of those feel-good stories because at 45 years old, I still haven't quit. Football is in my blood. It's in my heart. I love every aspect of the game. I played college football on Division I level at the University of Memphis. I played at Tennessee State. I also played arena ball. I had a small, very small stint with the Rams and also with the Saints. But in that process, I always wanted to be a part of it. So I started training athletes because everybody knew my work ethic and how good I was at training myself along with my trainer before he passed away. So everybody kind of started coming with me to train. When I started coaching college football, I stopped training, but I also became the head strength and conditioning coach at Lane College in Jackson, Tennessee. So in the midst of me being the strength and conditioning coach, I was also the running backs coach. And I was also, after that first year, I was the number one recruiter in the conference with the school that only had 6 scholarships. So by me being the number one recruiter, being the head strength and conditioning coach, and also the running backs coach, I also went back to school while I was coaching to get my degree. Now, I want to put that out there. I was a year left for getting my degree. So in the midst of me coaching and doing what I had to do, I also went back to get my degree. Then I went and I left Lane and went to Langston University in Oklahoma. When I went there, I was in the same calling. I was strength and conditioning coach, and I was also the running backs coach. In that position, I had one of the best running backs of the conference. He was like a problem child when I got there. So when I got there, my project was to get him back on track for his senior year. So for his senior year, he ended up being conference player of the year, 1,200 yards, 15 rushing, 700 yards, 8 touchdowns receiving, and being a conference player of the year. When I left Langston, I moved to Florida. I always wanted to be in Florida because it's just a football state for me. So I got to Florida. I started coaching high school ball with Chris Chambers and Channing Crowder at Nova High School, which was True Prep Academy because of COVID. We won the state championship my first year coaching. Had my running back go to Coastal Carolina as well. Also had Brandon Enos on that team, which is the number one wide receiver that was in Florida that's gone to Ohio State. So now, in the midst of that, I met Jerry Seymour. Jerry Seymour is over the running back academy. When he saw that I was very high on running backs and knew my information about running backs, he asked me to work with him firsthand. And with his first hand of him asking me to work with him, my first client, Travis Etienne, coming out of
Oh,
Clemson.
nice.
You know what I mean? So he was my first client by myself, was Travis. So me and Travis started doing our thing. He was impressive. Of course, we all know he went first round, Clemson, and then all of a sudden it started pouring in from the Leonard Fournettes to the Jonathan Taylor. I had Jonathan Taylor when he won the rushing title, actually. That year that he won the rushing title a couple of years ago. I had Giovanni Bernard, DeAndre Swift, Kareem Hunt, and the list kind of goes on and on, even from Blake Corum at Michigan right now, Braylon Allen that's at Wisconsin right now. We actually did a run retreat this past weekend with them that they came in and was able to do that. So right now, and I was able to land a job this past year at House of Athlete with Brandon Marshall. So I became a sports performance coach at the House of Athletes with Brandon Marshall. Then all of a sudden, more clientele started coming in and started rolling in, from the Justin Jeffersons to the Jamar Chase to the Mecole Hardman. I mean, the list goes kind of on and on through that. So now, in the process of having the pros, I've also trained 2 years on guys coming out of college going pros, which I've had Chris Olave the year he came out as well. I mean, the list goes on and on. Actually, Jerrion Ely, who I had, was a running back at Ole Miss that's now at Kansas City. So he was on the practice squad with Kansas City this year and actually won a Super Bowl. And I actually met Sky Moore because he trained in Tampa when I was at the Combine with my guys as well. So, and we've been kind of keeping in touch, and he been kind of checking on me, seeing, am I ready to come? You know what I mean? And put my input in, because he knows it's going to be very impactful for me as well as I will be for the Chiefs, and try to win another Super Bowl with them.
All right, well, that's a great segue to where I'm going now. Thank you very much. And again, I'm used to segues with you anyways, Torri, so it doesn't really matter. So let's talk about the thought of working for the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Go ahead. It's got to be unbelievable for you. Great feeling, isn't it?
I'm still at awe. You know, I'm still at awe. They've been sending me information, getting everything squared away, and just to actually see, you know, 2-time Super Bowl champions the last few years under Coach Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. I'm ready to get my hands on Pachenko. I'm ready to put my hands. I'm
That's
ready
what
to
I
get
was
him. You know what I mean? I'm ready to get my hands on him because he's a hell of a back. I just want to put my 2 cents to make him even more dangerous than he already is, and I'm definitely looking forward to that challenge. Just to be out there. I'm probably going to be kind of stuck a couple of times watching Patrick Mahomes throw this ball all over the field with Travis Kelce around. So
is Pacheco.
Pacheco.
So is Pacheco.
You definitely.
Well, you know, you kind of inherited a gold mine, because I mean, even if you were to take away Mahomes, like in the backfield, you got a 3-headed monster. You got McKinnon, Pacheco, and Edwards-Helaire. So, I mean, how does that feel? Like, it's like, wow, I'm getting like the holy trinity of running backs in a sense.
The crazy part is they have Perline now from Florida. I think he was at Seattle. He's there now, and I actually had him last summer. So he don't know I'm coming. I actually sent him a message yesterday to tell him to hit me up, but of course, they're doing OTAs and stuff right now, so I know he'll probably get back with me once he finished. But I'm ready to let him know that I'm coming up there as well. It's gonna be kind of a homecoming. He's gonna be like, y'all better you better strap it on, because that boy got some drills. You know what I mean? He got some drills, so we definitely gonna get that work in.
One quick thing, hey, Jordan, you and I were talking. You and I talking with you had a question or two for Torri. I was just making sure. Did you remember what you had? What you wanted to have the question for Torri?
Oh, I don't remember my question, but if you look at the talent you're going to inherit, it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm a Broncos fan. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes hasn't lost to Denver or pretty much any of the AFC. I mean, I know Denver has a new head coach. The thing about it is I don't know how the Broncos can actually stack up against the Chiefs. You guys should be the number one in the AFC West and obviously in the AFC. So how are you gonna implement the success they've already had to your style?
It's just a feel. It's a feel good. It's just getting more comfortable. A lot of backs, I'm pretty sure in the NFL. I mean, Pacheco, McKinney, Perline, all of them already been doing their thing. So it's just kind of relating to them. One thing that I know I've been able to do from being a player, being a coach, being a sports performance coach as well is relate to players. So I have a real good eye for what's something that you might need to work on, because that's one of the things that I love to ask players in the midst of me talking to them right in the beginning. What is it that you want to do to make you greater? And you know what I mean? And I can see from myself as well as hearing from them. So once I hear from them, then I'm just going to add mine into them as well. So being able to inherit this group of running backs and be able to be with the Super Bowl champions and to try to go on another run. Hey, I want to run this ball down their throat now. I want to be a dependable coach where they can put it in their hands and everybody is reliable and can do their thing.
I want to make sure I got a few points I need to really get out here. Okay. Then I'm going to turn it over to the crew. Torri, obviously, I know you're 45. You've never quit. But my relationship with Torri goes back to when I was doing the Sports Exchange with a co-host named Peter Ween on WEI Network. So what I want you to do, Torri, is explain to my crew and the rest of our audience what our relationship has been like. I've always felt like you were my son, and and this is when you come across somebody when they're starting out, and then you see the progression. It started with Peter, and we kept it going. And I know when you got this information, you didn't think twice about letting me know. But tell the crew and the audience what our relationship has been like.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm one of those guys that, you're gonna have to tell me no. You're gonna have to tell me no, because if I find you, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna put it out there, So the crazy part is I'm just putting things out there on LinkedIn and everything. And I run into this man named Scott. So I said, let me put it out. See, he got a radio podcast. He out there doing his thing. I said, let me put it out there to this man and see, what he gonna say. If you tell me no, I'm like, okay, let's move on. All of a sudden I get a reply and a yes. And he said, I'm going to give you a call. So I said, yes, sir. Please call me. So I gave him a number. He called me, and instantly we became close. He actually listened to me. He heard my story. He heard my cry. And I can't thank him for enough for giving me the opportunity to go on his show previous, the Sports Exchange, to put it out there, because it's a lot of people that give up real easy. I'm not one of them ones. I just try to find whatever way it is possible for me, to make it. And Scott allowed me to put it out there. We kind of had a great show, and then we came back and had another great show. We sat down, we went and had some good food afterwards and everything. And I mean, when I say literally, he took me in. He always told me to, anything pop off, anything I need, don't hesitate to call him. And he made me feel at home, because I just moved to Florida. So I really didn't know a lot of people yet, so now, hey, that's my man. I love him to death. I'm like his son, because I call him for anything. Soon as I got word that they accepted it, that I was going to Kansas City, he was the first I called, because I want him to put it out there before anybody put it out there.
Well, amazingly enough, I took him to Kentucky Fried Chicken before the show. It's not what you call one of your biggest classic steakhouses, but we didn't have a lot of time. I wanted to get to know him at KFC with his wife, and I knew this guy was a hidden gem from the beginning. It was just a matter of getting his name out there, advising him what to do, and I knew that as long as he possessed the work ethic and he was self-conscious, I knew he had a shot. His road, obviously, now he's 45. He's making us all look like geniuses, and he'll have more appearances lined up after we've done our Monday at our Wednesday deal. Two more things I want to get to. Okay, the thought of working with Patrick Mahomes in an offensive room. I know you alluded to it before, but now you have an opportunity to go out there and be right in front of him. I don't think you're going to be distracted because let's face the reality. Being in the running back room, you do need to know what the QB is like. Have you had any communication with Patrick Mahomes up to this point? And the second part of that question is, give me your thought about the potential of working with Patrick Mahomes. Two-part question. Take your time and answer both.
Well, I haven't had contact with him yet. But I'm definitely ready to have some contact with him because he's the franchise. Just being able to know that he's the franchise and that my backs have to protect him. They have to protect him, whether they blocking a linebacker or blitzing.
You there?
I think he froze up.
Yeah, he's there somewhere out there in South Florida. That's okay. We're getting there.
Froze up.
There you go, Torri. Well, that's all right. Well, here he is. Okay, he's back. All right, go ahead.
What'd you do, Jordan? No.
I didn't touch anything. I'm innocent.
So maintain your
The Broncos fan did it.
Yeah,
The Broncos
exactly.
did it.
Yeah.
Maintain your thought on Patrick Mahomes. You have a two-part question here.
Yeah, and now being able to work with Patrick Mahomes, the league MVP, a couple of times Super Bowl MVP, to see how he worked, to see his work ethic, and to be able to protect him, be able to have confidence in me that I'm gonna have my guys to help protect him. That's the most important thing because they'll send me right back home, and I'll be right back on the show real quick. If something happened with one of these back, missed this block around here from a blitzing safety or a linebacker, but just to be able to see this man in action in person and to see how he works, to see how he competes in practice. I've already got a couple of glimpses of him through practice just by me going back and kind of watching film from last year and everything else, just doing my due diligence to learn more about Kansas City and the coaching staff and the players. He's a competitor. He's definitely worth the $500 million that he signed for, and the league MVPs and the 2 Super Bowl championships already. So, and I think he's the next great thing behind Tom Brady. So I'm definitely going to be able to be happy to work with him, and I'm definitely going to be able to send you some pictures and everything, and hopefully some video, Scott, when I get there.
Oh, that's okay. So when I started the show, I went over the information about the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship. Did you have a chance to read all of that? And that's what really provided the impetus for you to really get involved with the program outside of John Wooten connection?
Yes. I've always been interested in it because I knew it gave, young minorities an opportunity, young coaches just to be a part, of the highest level. And sometimes people don't actually want to be in the NFL, but they just want to see how the NFL coaches work. So being able to understand what Bill Walsh actually stood for, I always kind of looked up to him when he was with San Francisco because he always gave minorities a chance. He gave minorities a chance, which always blossomed. And Andy Reid was right up on, under him, even though he was at Green Bay. He definitely learned a lot from him. You have to realize it's the same way. It's just giving somebody a chance. My logo is one chance. So being able to be a part of Bill Walsh Minority Diversity Coaching internship means everything to me because my name goes down and will go down in the books for 2023 Kansas City Chiefs. Torri Harmon being a part of that, and that's where I'm gonna get my start from because I'm definitely not looking to come back after that.
All right. Well, you know what's funny? I'm going to talk about Eric Bieniemy. Then something came to my mind that I want you to address. Okay. Eric Bieniemy is going to Washington. Do you see him getting a head coaching job?
I do in the near future, probably within the next few years. I would think so. And the crazy part is how I kind of think it'll play out for Coach Bieniemy is I think he might end up taking over Washington one day after Ron Rivera retired.
Yep.
And I actually think that the crazy part is my best friend, I call my brother, Reggie Howard, just became the defensive quality control at Washington. And he actually told me about Coach Bieniemy and told him that I was going to Kansas City. So he called me and wished me good luck over there, and just tell him make sure I'm doing what I need to do, and I won't leave at all. But he said if I so happen to leave now, he might have to come snatch me or whatever. So so that was a blessing to hear as well. But I think he will have coaching jobs very soon, probably within the next 2 years or so.
All right, but you mentioned to me before that you said it's really all on him now that he's away from Andy Reid and with Ron Rivera. Why don't you elaborate on that?
Because it's on his show. Coach Rivera actually just told him that he's giving him more control of the players, more control of just everything. So being able to have personnel get players that he might want and so forth, so on, to help build that offense and help make Washington a powerhouse on the offensive side of the ball as well. So I actually think that now that he's away from Coach Reid, because Coach Reid is a mastermind. Coach Reid is definitely a mastermind. But the thing is, a lot of people don't understand about Coach Reid. He's old school that takes on new school. He's not scared to make changes. He's not scared to try something out. He's not scared to do anything. And with he had that collaboration with Coach Bieniemy, you got the Kansas City Chiefs offense that's been potent for the last 5 or 6 years. Since Mahomes got there, he was actually pretty good, even better. He was good with Alex Smith as well. So,
I said the same thing. Yep.
You know what I mean? So the thing is, now Coach Bieniemy is on him now. He can't convert back to he's making all the decisions now. Andy Reid was the final say so with Kansas City.
Right.
Now it's him. Now he gonna put his name on it. He gonna put his stamp on it. Now he gonna try to get the players that he want as well, just like he did in Kansas City, even with Coach Reid being the final say so. Now he has the final say so in everything. So if he want to cut a player, bring a player in, or whatever he want to do, he has that opportunity to do it now, which I think he will excel very well at.
I got a couple questions for you here. Torri.
Okay.
Number one, for the people that are watching on this show, could you explain what a quality control coach would do, like defense or offense, either way? Second question I wanted to be able to ask is really for a draft pick, say Patrick Mahomes, CJ from back then, CJ Stroud now, any of those. How much of it is so important to have the right system, right coach, right everything, and how much of it is their pure talent? Because is it a real thin line, or how does this whole thing work?
Okay, well, let's go to the first one, the quality control. Quality control is basically offensively or defensively or special team is the guy who helps the defensive or offensive coordinators do their job thoroughly, keep them scheduled, know their defense, helping them game plan, everything about it. Like the coaches coach, the position coaches coach, but the defensive quality control, the offensive quality control helps game plan, put everything together. I think this player is good to do this. I think this player is good to do this. So they have to know the exact offense or defense or special teams that the defensive coordinator or the coordinators actually know. Like they have to know it in their head just as much as they do. So they're just as much, responsible for what's going on the field as the coordinators, because everyone else is worried about the position. The defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator, and the special teams are worried about the overall picture. And then they go to the head coach, and then they finally make their last decisions, or so forth, so on. So I hope that answered that one.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I was curious about that too.
Well, you know what? I've got a question I think is really important considering the nature of the show. Okay. And I want to talk about Deion Sanders. Talk about the job that he did over at Jackson State. And now he's really overhauling the Colorado program where he's had over 50, 60 guys in the portal. So this is a two-parter. So let's talk about the job he did at Jackson State. And do you approve of the way he's going about his business with Colorado with too many guys in the portal?
I don't think he's going about it the wrong way. First of all, who don't want to play for Deion? And that's number one. Now you're taking some, the thing is what I respect about what Dion is doing is he's being upfront with these players because all coaches you don't think or look the same as a lot of coaches. Like everybody have their own opinion. So what I think about a player might be different from what another coach thinks or sees in a player, and so forth, so on. Dion, being Dion, he knows what he's looking for. He sees it. He knows it. So my thing, when he have those meetings at the end of spring practice with one of the running backs I have, Anthony Hankerson from down here in South Florida at St. Thomas is up there with him that I had Saturday. He sits and evaluates with him, and he let him know, I think it's best for you to either stay or leave to have another opportunity because I don't think you're going to fit what I'm trying to do at Colorado. And Dion is trying to win right now because one thing about it, Coach Prime, players play for Coach Prime.
Yep.
They play for Coach Prime. So by his presence, him talking to you, him wanting you there, you're going to want to play for him. And you know the outcome of wanting to play for Coach Prime. So putting players in that position, he's letting them know. He's not sugarcoating it like a lot of coaches do that'll sit here and tell him, well, I need you around. I need you to be this body. I need you to work, so forth, so on. No, he's giving them an opportunity to move forward. And then if they don't want to take it, he still keeps them. But if they don't, then, he let them go. And they can go find another home and do what they need to do somewhere else. So, but I think I love what Coach Prime is doing at Colorado. I love what he did at Jackson State because he took HBCU to another level. But also remember, he exposed HBCU too.
Well, the thing you bring this, I wanted to bring this up with HBCU, and it's like I would months ago on this Pundit, we had a topic with HBCUs, and I'll admit this personally, I wasn't happy that he left HBCU. Jackson State. I was not happy at all, and it's because one of the things is they got themselves a TV contract with him around. But I was just going to say this: what is keeping them from ever getting, anything but an 11 o'clock thing on ESPN or 11 at night or any of those, ones that people do not watch, or Sunday morning at 10 a.m. You get my point?
Yes.
What's keeping them? See, Deion's the star, but how many of these schools needed all that money? See, this was my thought process of Deion doing the HBCU for the rest of his life. He spent all that money to get Jackson State, the facilities, the locker rooms, everything looking great. All these other schools don't have that, and he could have helped all of them. And I personally, to me, I wanted to see him continue because now HBCU, they're getting forgotten again. Some of the coaches have already talked about that.
Correct.
And then add on to what happened with Ed Reed over there at Bethune. So kind of makes it worse. It's almost like when Dion left, it's like, oh, well, it's open season on black coaches again. Like, you know what I mean? And what happened at Bethune, that was a tragedy. He was just exposed what was going on, and he got fired for it. Like, he got dragged for that. So, but yeah, it was like Dion was leading the charge, and then when he left, it was like, okay, well, what now? Who's going to be our leader?
And what a lot of people don't know, and I don't think it's been put out there enough about Coach Prime and what he did at Jackson State. In the beginning, Coach Prime used a lot of his own money.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm. He used a lot of his own money. He used a lot of his own money to help build that program. Now, I had a best friend that was the OC at Mississippi Valley State. And Coach Prime went over there with them just to see how things were for them. And he put in a bid to help them as well. But the school had to approve everything. And one thing that we know about HBCUs, they're going to find a way to get over. I went to a HBCU, and I understand the runaround that they do. And it's crazy how they do it. And you hate to say it, but it's facts.
Why do they do it? Why do they do it?
Honestly, Father Time. You got a lot of people that's in a lot of positions that's just holding down a position, but not keeping up with the times. Everything is still old school at a lot of HBCUs. You know what I mean? Even Coach Jackson, Hugh Jackson now is changing up Grambling in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Because he understands it and he's going through it now. Me knowing him and me seeing what he's doing at Grambling State now. A lot of the administration is sometimes it's just hard, but they really don't. I really can't explain it the way I really, how you really see it and go through it, but this is the talk show to get in detail. Right. They just really not doing their job. They looking to fill their pockets, not the schools.
All right. There's one thing I want to add to this real quick. I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, and I want any of my crew to go out there and add something. But I will say this about Deion Sanders. Shrewd businessman. Yes, he paid a little bit of money out of his pocket towards Jackson State, but then cashed in his chip at Colorado. And I wouldn't be surprised after he's done building them if an NFL job. So he'll get that money back and then some with what he's done, because he put him. If you can turn around an HBCU, then you go to a Power 5. And then ultimately you get an NFL job. This is a businessman speaking. So I just want to put that out there. So what I want to do, since time is winding down, do any of you guys have any other questions for Torri?
I have one thing real quickly. I do have one more, but I want to make sure. Jordan, do you have one? And Denzel, do you have one? Before
I had one, but you can go ahead, man.
What about you, Jordan?
You can go ahead, Jacob. It's totally cool.
No problem. I'll ask, and then I want them to have their chance, okay? Now, I wanted to ask that second question. I wanted to bring on that.
Yeah.
How much is it pure talent? Because, see, what made me think about this is the whole Tyreek Hill thing when he was in Kansas City, that he said, oh, my God, I thought he was going to suck. That sort of, that's so I thought he'd be trash, something like that. How much is it pure coaching and system, and how much is it talent? Because is it a thin line? Because the thing I'm asking on this, because I'm thinking of Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh, and there's such a boring OC over there. And it's like, and he's got a lot of heart and a lot of guts, but you got such a boring OC. How much is it the system, and how much is it the talent?
I'm going to say for us, the system is probably about 40%. 40% system, 60% talent. And the reason why I say that, anybody can draw up plays and it can look wonderful, but you got to have the guys to go out there to have the talent to execute. And a lot of guys have skills but not talent, if that makes sense. So being able to be like, when you talk about Tyreek Hill, you're talking about a full-fledged burner, a burner that played running back, receiver, and return guy in college. Actually got into a little trouble. So he's really no different than a Percy Harvin back in the day. Mm-hmm. That I like to say something like that, or Cordell Stewart. You know what I mean? But my thing is, they had talent. So you want to find different ways to use their talent. A lot of coaches these days they want players to adjust to their system, not adjusting their system to their talent.
I know that. I know this part. And Jordan, what you got?
This just has to do with the rooney rule. I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of minority coaches in the NFL. How would you actually change the rooney rule if you could?
You just touched on something right there. And I kind of been wanting to address this for a while. Honestly, and this is just being truthful on here, it's a fraud a lot of times.
I agree.
And the reason why I say that is because Mr. Wooden, when we reached out to a lot of guys, we reached out to a lot of minority executives. No response, no callbacks, no nothing. And half of them, if not all of them, Mr. Wooden helped get them into the NFL. And he was even shocked. he was even shocked. But in my heart, when I talked to him, I told him I felt like it was 3 coaches that would give me a chance. One of them being Andy Reid, another one would being John Harbaugh, and another one was being what's my man name? Seattle.
Oh, Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll. And I'm going to Kansas City, so that speaks for itself. So, and when we talk about the Rooney Rule, a lot of guys, I think they just want to make a statement to say that they're not getting a fair chance. But even when they get the fair chance, they don't still want to give other minorities a chance. So that's just my opinion.
And what about you, Denzel? You got one?
Actually, you know what? Okay, we got about 2 minutes before we wrap up. Real quick, Torri. So what's your end game? So, like 10 years from now, like where do you see yourself? Do you eventually want a head coaching position, coordinator position? Like what are you working to?
End game. I'm gonna put this out there because I've never told anyone this. My personal goal was to be a general manager. That's been my goal. I want to be a scout. I want to be a general manager. But that's my goal. That was my plan. For the last year and a half, God has shown me a little something different. He showed me a little something different. One thing about when Coach Reid told me I was like a little Swiss Army knife, he said that I could be a position coach, a sports performance coach, and also a scout. I could do it all. So if you combine all 3 together,
that makes a general manager.
And I think the end game probably will end up being an NFL owner one day.
Love it.
All right, that's a great goal.
Absolutely. Hey, if you don't dream big, you'll never be big.
Yeah.
I'll definitely take that. Hey, I think that's all we got. Hey, thanks a lot for coming on the show, Scott. You want to bring us out of here?
Absolutely. Well, Torri, what can I say? I got plenty more things scheduled for you. So you're going to be on quick call here, whether it's messenger, text, whatever we'll be talking about. Torri, want to thank you very much for being on Pundit. Of course, we had a great time on Inside the Pigskin as well. But I got a lot more in store for you, Torri. Great act here with us. It's been great. This crew deserved a guy like you. We addressed HBCUs and things we talked before, and you enlightened us on other things as well. So with that said, this concludes this edition of Pundit. On behalf of Torri Harmon, Denzel Snipes, Jordan Long, and Jacob Christner, my name is Scott Morgan, Roth from Motor City Mad Mouth. Thank you for joining us. The Sports Exchange is next.